Okay, so here's the premise of what we're going to do next. We are going to attach this bell to this hawk's tail, and every time the Harris hawk bops his tail, because you know Harris hawks like to bop their tail a lot, like shake their tail feathers, it's going to ring, and that way when he's up in the tree, I can tell where he's at just by listening to this. The hawk's tail is constructed in a very specific way. The middle of the tail is nothing in the direct middle. And then there's two deck feathers. These holes right here, here, will line up with this third hole. And so this hole goes between the space. Tail feather goes here, tail feather goes there. And we are going to attach this, like this, to the tail. This is definitely a 3-person process, but I'm going to show you how to do it with just 2 people. You cannot do it by yourself. This is like not by yourself. Right. What are these scissors for?
Paper. I'm just kidding.
Cutting leather only. Don't use these to cut anything besides leather. We're going to use these scissors because you can cut anything with these scissors. And we're going to cut us a piece of string about yay long. We don't need all this, but I like extra to work with.
1 yay.
Twist it a little bit. Burn it. Now don't burn your fingers. This will burn your fingers, by the way. So we need to get it pointy so that it'll go through the hole. If you have tender hands, don't try this way because it's burnt material, and so it'll make you go ow. Then you'll have an owie. This one has a self-puncturing tip on it, so all you gotta do is just screw it down really good. And the very first thing you do is you take your string like this and you fold it in half like that, and then you loop it through your bell like this so that you got a nice thing. And what you want to do is you want to try to get it perfectly straight up and down and pull it tight. Okay? And then one little bitty dollop of super glue right there. And then tie a couple of square knots. So that you have a little tail. What you're looking for is just a tail. Just want a tail. Needs to be about 1/2 inch or so. Alright, then you put another little dollop of glue. Every time you put the glue in, what you're doing is you're solidifying the fibers to themselves and you're making this knot hard. You're going to have to hold him like a football first, then you're going to have to flip him over.
Okay.
And so typically what I do when I flip him over is pull the feet up this way, put the breast this way, and I push the wings down this way, and I just hold him like that. Let's get to it.
I do happen to have a hood in my vehicle.
What's a hood going? This is a Harris hawk. You don't put hoods on Harris hawks.
I hood my Harris hawk.
Why?
Because I can.
Well, you can hood this one too. He takes a hood. Man, his claws are sharp.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so if you'll just hold him like this, let's take his equipment off. So these are covids, and some people call it the Harris hawk's dress, because when they get cold, they use these feathers here to keep their legs warm. All right, so if you'll just kind of tuck him up like a football. Don't do this at home with just any bird. This bird is really, really used to this. Yeah, there you go.
I'm actually going to grab him with this hand and
Go ahead. Look how good he is.
flip him over like this.
No, I'm gonna work on the bottom first.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I've got to put my head close to this at some point. And then his feathers need to be behind his tail, like that. There we go. All right, so the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a whole bunch of this out. All right. First thing, I usually cut about that much out. Look at all those feathers. You can't let this bird get super cold now because he's got no way to keep his feathers, his legs warm. So what you do is you count how many feathers you got. You got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's the center. Okay. Hey, bring me a little sheet of paper, like just half of a sheet of typing paper. And then you cut all of the white out. Don't cut the shaft. If you cut the shaft, you've messed up really bad. So you want that to be really close to the shaft, but don't cut the shaft.
Is that where the feathers attach?
Yeah, the shaft is the center. That's where all the stability for these edge feathers sit. Okay, so you've got two shafts right there, two clean shafts. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, and so what you're going to do now is you're going to thread your plectrum.
He's just chilling.
He's just like, all right, do what you're going to do.
Goodbye, Harris Hawk.
Okay, so the first two strings go straight through the center. All right, then you pull them tight. And then you make one knot, just one. You can use talc powder to make this dry quicker and make it less sticky. But this is 20-second super glue, just so you know. All right, so this needs to sit underneath the bird like this. All right, so you just take it and you slide it in this way, like so.
What's the paper doing?
Just one, it's white, so it allows me contrast so I can see what I'm doing. And two, it makes it so that you don't get super glue all over his other feathers. All right, so we're going to secure one shaft like this. Then we're going to secure the other shaft like this. So that third hole that I put in there,
Oh,
it'll be all right.
I gotta reposition my hand on his back. So I might lose that paper again. I'm sorry. Hey, don't bite me.
Look what you're doing to him.
Fair enough.
Harris Hawks are not designed to be upside down, so he's being really good at this point. So we've got these two center deck feathers looped around with the plectrum backwards. So I got to redo this. Your round part wants to sit towards the animal's body.
Oh, did get away from me that time.
Well, you can't blame him. He's got two monsters grabbing him and tossing him in every direction. Now, I'm fixing to put my face down here. So, one, the viewers at home are not going to be able to see what I'm going to do next. But two, I've got to really tighten this down. All right, let's see how these things are sitting. Perfect. Now I'm going to put a little bit of super glue so that the shaft of the feather is bonded to the fibers of this twine we used. One more thing. Now we just want to go
So that's 2 knots with super glue.
It actually makes a square knot.
How much you leave in there?
None, hardly any. This is the dangerous part right here because you don't want to singe your bird's feathers. And you don't want to catch the super glue on fire. Super glue burns, by the way. Turn that way, your whole body. All right, let me get him some Jesses?
I'm pretty good at making
Jesses? Good. You can make us some matching jesses.
I think I will. Paracord's definitely great. I've used it, but I love some braided jesses.
We've got a bunch of leather jesses.
Leather, yeah, leather's good.
All right, just toss them in the air. I know. Look at that. How shaky that is. How bouncy that is. So every time he shakes his tail feathers, shake your tail feathers, shake your tail feathers.
Not a fan.
I wouldn't be either if you put that on my butt. He needs a coping. Go. Let's see. Let's go ahead and cope him since we're here. He'll love that. I mean, since we're being so mean to him, we might as well do that too, right? We will put a hold that. We will put a hood on him for that. Something he does not like. So if you can see, if we cope his beak down, it does two things. One, it will prevent him from getting a crack because his beak is too long. And two, it'll help him eat better because he can flick his meat better. He'll shred his meat off and he can flick it better. So, coping is very, very beneficial. And all we're going to do is just a little bit at a time, take a little bit of this beak off until we get it to the length that I like. And then we're going to use that pencil there to open his mouth and take the edges of his beak off. And so all you got to do is just open up their mouth, open up their mouth, open their mouth up. Jet was a lot easier.
I might be able to get my finger in there. Oh, there you go.
And so you need his mouth open because you don't want to, you want his tongue underneath the pencil. And so you see these little edges right here? Those edges, these little edges right here, if you don't keep those even, they'll crack and the crack will go straight up the beak. So it's real easy to take them off. You don't have to take much off. You just want it to be a little bit. That's all you got to take off. So you see how it's flatter now, and that way it won't crack. Because if those get too long on the edges, they crack up the side and there's no way to fix it. You can epoxy it, but it's just a major pain in the booty. And so when you're coping, you just want to take a little bit off at a time and keep it rounded. So you want to constantly be moving the beak there.
Is this something naturally they do in the wild, or?
So in the wild, they do what's called feeking. And they often will, Harris hawks will feek on rocks or they'll feek on the ground, and it normally will rub this off naturally. Also, they're eating the skulls of their prey, and that wears them down. When we catch wild Harris hawks, these beaks are almost like totally flat because they feek so much and they keep it's only in captivity that these things grow so long. I've never caught a wild Harris hawk that was in need of coping. They've always been able to maintain their beaks themselves, but it's mostly because they feek on rocks. And feeking is a movement they make where they rub the beak against the rock to dislodge food particles, blood, and fur. Now I've got this on a real slow rotation so that I can control how much I'm taking off. And I'm just rounding it all the way around so that we get a nice round beak. And you don't want to go too far because there is quick in there. There's blood inside the center part of that, but it's pretty far up here where the blood starts. So, but we're just going to take a little bit more off. Yep, I think we're going to go with that right there. Nice profile. All right, so if you notice a hood, it's got these long straps and these short straps with knots on them, okay? And that's so that one person by himself can strike the braces and he can close the braces. All right, when you put the bird on, you use these longer ones to close the braces, and then you strike them by pulling like this. Leave the hood on because you don't want the bird to get used to flicking that hood immediately when he feels the braces being struck, and then you just pull it straight off. And now he's like, the indignity of it all. You humans.
Oh yeah, he's looking at me. He's like, I'm gonna remember you. You're the reason this happened. Oh, he'll forgive me. Harris hawks are very forgiving.
Yeah, they are. Look, he's like, if nothing has ever happened. All right, now we've already coped Jet, but we need to put tail bells on Jet. I am a big proponent of having plenty of bells. These are all Dave Noble bells. If you're in the falconry community, you'll know that Dave Noble makes excellent bells. So I need to choose a bell that doesn't sound like George's, but yet carries enough so that I can hear. So what I usually do is I pick up a bell and I shake it and I go, too muted. Sounds good. Too muted. Sounds good. Ooh, I really like that one the best. Too muted. However, if we were running two bells on a red tail, I would use one of these and one of those because you want a lower and a higher. So now I need to pick from these. I can actually hear this one better.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we picked our next bell. Now we're going to put a tail bell on Jet. So first you want to loop through. If you can't read that, it says Noble. That's how you know it's a Dave Noble's bell.
Any fun facts about Dave?
Don't know a thing about him. Comes to Manafa meets every once in a while.
He makes bells.
Yeah.
And he makes bells. So you want to try to get that straight down the center as best you can. Now Jet is a little bit smaller hawk, so I'm only going to do 2 square knots instead of 3 on him. Because he doesn't have as much.
So the square knot seems pretty much similar to like what I would call a regular knot. Is that what it is, or is there something special to it?
A regular knot is known as a granny's knot.
Okay.
Square knot is a perfectly square knot. Over, out, under.
I don't mind looking dumb.
So if you're not doing, so if you're not
I
making,
didn't know either.
if you're not making a square knot on purpose, then you're making a granny knot probably, unless you make it a square knot on accident. So both strings go through the center hole. So you want to pull that tight on the plectrum up to there, and then you just taut. You don't actually tie a knot. You just loop it over. But don't pull it so tight that you pull it through that hole. You just don't want it to come from one side to the other. What we want is this plectrum to sit on the tail feathers like that.
And what
this pointing down.
What side is going up?
This goes up into the air. This goes down underneath the bottom of the tail feathers. This goes out the back. And so you got a nice platform that rests on top of the tail feathers for support. Let's do the mean stuff to him.
I know.
All right, so first thing we need to do is remove a good portion of this.
Oh, he's got a lot of feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, Floof.
It says dress.
Dress.
Goodbye, dress. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Look at that. Oh, it's got a broke feather. I didn't even know that feather was broke. Doesn't matter for what we're doing. I don't want to get his wing feathers cut.
I thought I'll put my finger there to move the wing feathers out of the way, and then I thought
what if I,
maybe
what
not.
What if he cuts my finger?
Oh, I know. So mad.
Yeah, if you can hold all that with your finger, that'd be very helpful. So you went through the center with both strings. One string goes this way around that feather. The other string goes that way around that feather.
And just for emphasis, I could tell that, you know, George wasn't bothered, nor does it seem Jet's bothered, but, you know, the feathers, you know, and you knotting it down, that's nothing that's hurting the bird in any way for anyone concerned. Michael's like, let me just talk with this string in my mouth.
All right. Yeah,
Ooh!
Is that a bite?
It's biting the crap out of me.
just FYI, I really should have put glasses on before I started doing this. I'm having a little difficulty seeing.
Step 5, blow on butt.
Lower your hands down a little bit. There you go. Right there. That's good. All right. It's like, how dare you?
Now that was a good talking point that we hit on before of why we don't put the bell on the ankle and do it on the tail.
So there's a whole lot of philosophy out in falconry world. I personally, when I'm squirrel hunting, don't want anything down here where the bird's trying to use his feet to catch the squirrel so they don't get bit. I went through the whole parameters of squirrel chaps when I first started squirrel hawking. I used squirrel chaps regularly. They just did not help. As a matter of fact, what does help is taking everything off the ankles, taking the jesses off, and just letting them fly with a little bit of leather. That doesn't seem to get in their way. And so you get way less bites whenever they can maneuver their feet quicker. Because you have to think, when they have squirrel chaps on, it looks like it's really protecting them, but that's a lot of weight and a lot of mass for them to be able to move when they're moving their feet around. If they have nothing in the way, then these feet are lightning fast, and so they can keep the feet out of the way of the squirrel's mouth when you're out squirrel hawking. So I'm a minimalist in that manner. I like to take the jesses off. I like to fly them with just the cuffs, and these cuffs are the type that will not come loose easily. We only fly for an hour to 2 hours at a time, so these are more than adequate for squirrel hawking. What you think, buddy? He's traumatized. He's like, you cut my dress off and you put something on my butt. Good day. We learned a lot. Now, if you're brand new to our YouTube channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on that little bell notifications. That way, every time we upload a new video of Jet or George or Ashley, You'll get a notification right away. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and leave a comment down below. I answer every single comment that's left. Even if it's hot girls from Pakistan, I'll even answer those comments too.
You're not supposed to respond to the phishing software.
Oh, well. Just don't click on it, because it's probably some kind of virus. All right, we'll see you next time. Oh, let's do it together, Ashley. Stand right over here. All right, now your left hand goes right into the camera, like right into the thing.
Okay.
We'll pull back here and we'll go 1, 2, 3. See you next time.
Oh boy.
Can you do that?
I can.
All right. See you next time. It's not strong enough. Give me some more passion.
Felt pretty
See
good
you
about that
next
one.
time.
All right, let
You
me
got to
get-
go over the top.
Okay.
See you next time. That's pretty good.
All right.
Still have to work on it.
Bye, Ashley.
Bye.